You know what, Jenny? It is June, and we have owed some folks a new
Some
episode.
chaps.
Yeah, since we've been gone. Actually, that may have been a song in the 80s. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midwich Live. We are back live in person in front of you on your tubes or whatever it is that you're watching. We're happy to be back. We have been well rested now since our trip to Orlando, hot, humid Orlando. Nothing has changed. If you haven't gone, you know what? Just
Still
go.
really hot and humid.
Yeah, it's still just go into a sauna and just pretend that there's a lot of sun on you, and that's exactly what you're going to get. But what was hot was a lot of the conversation, a lot of topics, a lot of the tech, all the things that we get to bring you on Midwich Live. We missed you. It's been a while. We got some things maybe Jenny will announce, but first Jenny's going to go through our thing.
Intro?
Intro? Yeah. I guess we go ahead, Jenny.
Something like that. So welcome to Midwich Live. We are streaming live, truly live, across our YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I don't think we go to X anymore, socials, but don't worry, you can catch us on rewatch on YouTube or LinkedIn afterwards. And if you don't like to look at our faces, we also have the podcast audio only version available via Midwich Sounds. Yeah. We have just returned from InfoComm. It was pretty crazy. It's also our first InfoComm with our US companies rebranded as Midwich US. Okay. So there was some familiar branding seen at ISE that was black, but the black version, not the white version, for InfoComm. Bigger booth this year. The booth was not big enough. You couldn't get on it, which is crazy. So the answer to InfoComm is have no product. And then people will come to your booth.
Come see our smiling faces. Our sweaty smiling faces.
They were. Well, not in the convention center. It was quite nice and cool there, particularly where the puppies were, or so I heard. So we've just come back from the show, and we decided we were umming and ahhing on whether or not to do an InfoComm wrap party, because we've sort of, it's become a bit monotonous. Like, we go to a show, we come back, we do a podcast on it. Yeah. But we decided at the show we definitely had seen enough to come online and talk to you guys about it. We also feel that there was a really clear star of the show at InfoComm this year.
Thank you, Jenny.
Oh, right. There was another.
Please. Anyway, you set me up for that one.
Walk it back.
Yeah.
So we reached out to NetSpeek to ask them if they would join us on our InfoComm wrap party podcast to talk about everything that they announced and showed at InfoComm, and just tell our viewers a little bit more about what they do, because there was so much excitement about this company, and everybody that I spoke to was going, I'm saying, how much AI have you seen? Then a little bit here, a little bit there, but have you seen NetSpeek? So it's really cool to have one sort of unifying brand that everybody was talking about at one show. So we've secured Sam Kennedy today to talk to us. So hopefully producer Kerry's going to bring Sam on now. He's joining us live. Hey, Sam, thank you very much.
Hello, thanks for having me. And Chris, you are the star of every show. I mean, come on, everyone knows it.
Flattery will get you everywhere, sir. I am just.
I'll keep going. That's for sure.
Just let him talk, Jenny, whatever he wants.
Sam, why don't you tell everyone what you do, and most importantly, what NetSpeek does?
Thanks. So again, my name is Sam Kennedy. I run the go-to-market for NetSpeek. I've been in the UC AV markets for about 30 years in a variety of roles. I was at Polycom for a long time, in Poly, and I was at Crestron for a few years. But more importantly, I do work for NetSpeek, and what we are is a verticalized AI platform focusing on the administrative side of AV, UC, and digital signage. So really trying to build an automated platform leveraging AI to help keep rooms, technologies, spaces up and running, making it easier to install, making it simpler to manage at a much more effective way than has ever been done before.
Wow. So I stopped by with a colleague just as you guys were doing one of your room fixes, I'm curious, how many times did you break a room and have Lena, your AI, fix it in front of people? It felt like it was just on a constant conveyor belt.
It was on a constant conveyor belt. So just kind of to set context, what we've done is we have our platform. Our platform is called Lena, and what we've done is we've trained Lena to be an expert to solve real world problems, and to do this in a very automated way. And so, to one of the use cases and applications that we've built for Lena to solve is a room check, right? Many of us are familiar that people, probably many of the viewers, either on the end customer side or at MSPs, they're having to go and test to make sure everything works in a room every day. So we've automated this in a non-programmatic way. So in other words, I don't have to program anything. I just have to tell Lena, okay, it's these devices. This is some basic setup between these devices. And then she will go and check to make sure everything's working. And if something's not working and she can fix it remotely, she can do that. And so that was one of the main demos that we were showing at InfoComm. Is we would, the demo that I would show is the CEO would go in and change the input on the monitor to watch something else, and change the volume, and we just would mess up the system, for a real valid reason. Mm-hmm. And then she would leave, the CEO would leave, and the room would be broken. And so what we would do is we would break the room, have Lena then automatically test. And what she does is she says, okay, where's the room today? Or where's the room right at this moment? And what does the administrator want the room to be set up on? And if there's anything that's not right, like the volume's incorrect, or the system's muted, or the input's incorrect, she will change that. She'll fix it. She actually dialed the Zoom call, test the Zoom call. So basically what she does is she automates a lot of that process to do a room check in a very automated and in a very non-programmatic way. And as you said, we just kept breaking the room, having her fix it, breaking. So there was hundreds of times we ran that demo over the course of the 3 days.
Brilliant. So Lena, correct me if I'm wrong, stands for, hang on a minute, Language Enabled Network Administrator.
Ooh, you got it, Star. Yes. And so we're really trying to personify
woman in AV at the moment. So
I think
lots of people know it.
It's so great. So we're trying to personify her because she solves problems in a very humanistic way. And so we think it's like the way we think of Lena is that she's our assistant, and our virtualized assistant to help keep the rooms up and running. And so by personifying her, it just feels natural to do this. She almost feels like a team member.
Yeah. And so Lena is your first line and maybe second line tech support in that room. She's your proactive monitoring and management system in terms of scheduled room checks as well. What does the future look like? Or what else can Lena do that we don't know yet?
So some of the other things that we were demonstrating is she can read logs, so she can trust. So I absolutely agree. I think of her as a level 1, level 2 support engineer. What does the future hold for us is starting to go wider. Like I said, if I was to talk to you 6 months ago, I would have said Lena was focused on UC and AV. I'm sorry, we're talking to a lot of the digital signage players. Like we formed some partnerships with BrightSign, with SkyKit, and so really what we've been doing is going deep within the AV and UC markets, and what you'll start to see is start to go wider and add other verticals. And like the first one would be adding digital signage. But for us, really the way we look at it is if you have the ability to, if you have an IP address and you can be controlled remotely on some level, Lena can manage you. I mean, we joke internal. There's no real difference between a video bar and a refrigerator to Lena, right? So as long as she understands the use case and has the capabilities, she can. There's lots of things that she can do. So slowly she'll start to become the assistant across many different types of technologies.
Sam, can you tell us who are some of the brands that you're working with? Simply because we have an audience that's going to be listening. It doesn't matter if it's Midwich brands or not. it's good for everybody, because your networks are going to be built up of everything, whether it's using some of our products on the QSC side to LG monitors, but it could be something far and wide. So go for it, man. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do this.
Let's do it.
So I'm just trying to, so we announced, and going into InfoComm, we announced partnerships with 8 vendors: Aurora, Brightside, Barco, HP Poly, Neat, Samsung, Sennheiser, and SkyKit. But I could tell you there's a number of them that we're already, there's a number of other manufacturers that we are working with, like we've been talking to QSC. We've already done some work with Shure, with Crestron, with Logitech. And so, and I would say for us, some of the, we were very popular with a lot of the different hardware vendors coming to us and wanting to participate in what we're doing with Lena. So if you don't hear your brand, definitely reach out to me, or, if you're a customer and you want, or an MSP and there's certain brands. For us, if I did the whole pitch, I would explain how Lena's architected, but we've built this platform that allows us to automate the ability to add new vendors, so we can scale very, very high quickly, and again, in an automated way. So for us, you'll start to see lots more vendors come throughout 2025 and into 2026.
And so the announcement from Excite about OpenAV, does that help you guys, because there's a library, I guess, now of APIs for you to draw on?
So standardizing on APIs is, I think there's a lot of benefit for a lot of companies, and definitely NetSpeak. And so it's a fantastic approach. And actually, NetSpeak is already a participant in the OpenAV. So we're very much on board with standardizing APIs, because it definitely benefits us. But just what is the essence behind the OpenAV, and what everyone's within all those different manufacturers trying to accomplish, I think everyone wins there. So we're very much behind what OpenAV stands for, and so much so that we are, it's only been a month, I think, since they've announced, and we're already on the website and participating in that organization. So it's a great organization.
You said a trigger word. I feel like I'm one of those kids shows where if they say the trigger word, everybody goes, "Hey!" Standardize. That is a rough word in the world of AV. And this is, I'm going to ask your personal opinion. Is AI going to finally make the word standardization in AV synonymous? Can this work? Is it the link? Is it the bridge that finally takes that very tough word for us to use? And people that use standardization say it always with the fingers, and tell me, Sam,
it's a good.
Do you think it's going to happen?
It's a good question. I don't know that it necessarily. AI can help simplify a lot of that, so that while there may not necessarily be complete standards, because even if the industry slowly starts to build around standards, I mean, we have 30, 40 years of legacy devices that we still need to be able to control and be able to interoperate with. And so, what AI does is it can simplify a lot of where there are gaps. And so, it would be great that everything's, standards are one of these things that you and I have been doing this so long that I could think of many standards where it's like, well, we both support the same standard, yet there was no interoperability between them. So, I'm cautious to say that standards are going to solve all of this, but I do think that getting to some level of standardization is going to help everyone. Then you bring in AI on top of that can fill in the gaps between where there are blanks within the standards. I think that's going to move the industry significantly forward. So I think that we are on. I think the next few years really are going to allow us to move forward and start to deliver applications that we never could think of before. So I think it's going to, and I also think AI is also going to simplify the development on the manufacturers themselves. Right now, we're software. Like, I've moved to pure software, which is pretty crazy for me as been a hardware person for the last 20 years. But just leveraging the tools of AI are going to help the hardware manufacturers build faster, deliver faster. And so, I mean, it's going to help in so many facets of what our industry is built on, yeah, sky's really the limit as to where we're going to be able to go with all of this.
Thank you for giving me my nerdy Star Wars moment that a rebellion is built on hope. So thank you so much.
There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope right now.
Thank you.
There's a lot of Star Wars to throw. I love it.
I think there's a good reason, right, for manufacturers to help with the standards-based APIs, because it's about interoperability between their products and complementary products or complementary softwares and solutions. Whereas up until now, we've talked a lot about networked audio, AV over IP. And those common standards are really more about interoperability to future-proof yourself from your company somehow going under and needing to then not have to swap out your whole ecosystem to start again. But by saying you are going open standards, you're almost suggesting that you recognize that potential of not being here in 10 years. And that's a big statement to make and maybe makes customers feel uneasy. So I can see why we've not, through IPMX and SDVOE and that side of AV really done this. And certainly the big guys haven't. But on management, it's a very different story. There is only gains for manufacturers to work in this way with their APIs versus there's risk attached to other areas. And I suppose on that note, I'd be interested to know your thoughts, Sam. I walked around the show and I looked at companies. There's nothing that's similar to NetSpeek really, but I suppose the closest I wouldn't even call it alternatives, but the closest software offerings to you guys. And a lot of them were talking about, their systems have stayed fundamentally the same, but then they've added MCP servers in order to utilize either their own front-end AI or somebody else's. And I'm interested on your take on that.
So, I have a few thoughts on that one. So first off, the standards are great as long as everyone supports the same standard. And as it relates to MCP, it's not the only interoperable standard. There are other protocols or other standards out there built by other main AI players, and so we're definitely paying attention to all of them as it relates to really. The way that those like ATA and MCP that they sit, they sit in between different AI platforms, and so the way I've been doing this for so long, so as anyone relatively new is gonna probably not understand what I mean, but I think back to when I started in video conferencing, doing a lot of the TDM stuff where when two devices needed to communicate with each other, there was something called the CAPS exchange. And so it's like, okay, I have my device. What can my device do? What can your device do? And the CAPS exchange just said, okay, we can speak the same language. In many cases, really, that, in a simplified way, that's what MCP is doing. Is there's no AI in MCP. It's just that middleman as to, okay, I can do this, you can do this, and sit in the middle. So we see a lot of value in that. But for us. Our approach is we are an AI first company, right? Everything that we're doing is built around AI. So we have the luxury of starting at this moment in time and this moment in history where we can take advantage of all of this AI and then build around it. So we don't have there's not a lot of things that we have to pull in. And again, baggage, I don't mean that it feels by saying that it feels icky by saying that, but it's not what I don't mean it in an icky way. It's just we can start here and build on top of it. So for us, we're going to be able to ultimately take advantage of technologies like MCP, but inherently we don't necessarily need it right now. Is because we're building the complete solution, taking advantage of our monitoring, and we can take advantage of the room checks and log reading and all that, installation support. We don't necessarily need a technology like MCP right now because we're building the complete solution, all leveraging AI. Ultimately, I think MCP will help us start to connect to other technologies that are out there. As I said, as we start to go wider, as we start to get deeper into other applications within an organization, MCP is going to help us expand and extend what we're doing. But initially for us, it's not our core focus. We're building the complete solution leveraging AI, and so therefore it's important technology. I don't mean to dismiss it. I hope I'm not coming across that way. It's just, again, what we're doing is we're building out that complete solution that's going to enable us to connect to lots of other technologies.
Yeah, interesting. So now InfoComm's done. Everyone's super impressed. What do people do if they're interested in Lena? How do they move forward?
So where we are, it was great InfoComm, but yeah, like you said, it's over. And so what's next for us is we are starting our beta right now. We have our beta customers identified. I know there's a lot of customers beating my door down trying to participate in that, but so we're moving into beta pretty much immediately from here, and we're looking at general availability in the Q3 timeframe. So we're going right from InfoComm to beta to shipping, or first availability, whatever you ultimately want to call it. And so for anyone who's interested, wants to participate, wants to get a demonstration, reach out to me. Come to Sam at NetSpeek, and it's with 2 E's, NETSPEEK. You can go to follow Lena or connect to Lena on LinkedIn or myself on LinkedIn. Go to our website. You can learn a lot of information there. It's netspeek.ai or netspeek.com. And lots of ways to get a hold of us. I encourage you to get a demo of what we're seeing so you can actually see this in action. And I'm happy to come back here and give you all the demo as we get closer to launch.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, that's been amazing. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining us. I hope that your inbox doesn't get too flooded with interest off the back of this, but absolutely, I think let's plan our next AI show, Chris, and let's get a full Lena demo.
We will get AI Sam next time. The robotic version. It's great.
And follow Lena on LinkedIn.
Get Lena on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Lena needs friends.
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining us, and we'll catch up with you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
So we have to say, we talk about producer Kerry all the time, but I'm pretty sure she cropped up halfway through that interview.
That's her video debut. It was awesome.
I think I was giggling in the background, but the last person to realize that she was on the screen was actually producer Kerry, and then she quickly swapped us back over again. So for everyone who's wondered what the mystery producer Kerry looks like, I hope you were paying close attention, because there she was.
Yeah.
So shall we, Chris, tell us about your InfoComm before we get deep into product. How was the show for you?
The show was excellent. So I hit the show in a different angle than most, because I am strictly there for the people, to expand the network, to expand the business, to talk, and to apparently take on an entire party schedule that I have to attend to, that I go to attend to see a lot of people all at once. Listen, I'll tell you what InfoComm is. It is somebody's house party that I get to go and I bring the beer. That's basically how it feels at this point. The technology, there's plenty of people out there doing the technology, and I can tell you some good technology that I did see in passing. But for the most part, it's still the gathering. I mean, 30,000 people, not too shabby. No. Right? 30,000 plus is not too shabby. But to do that all in 1 week. Yes. One of the things that I want to highlight, and one of our friends is actually on and has made some comments, our friend Ifat, who went to InfoComm with a different purpose this year. She did not go as an AV person. She went as a person who is out there looking for a new opportunity. And she landed a new opportunity, but I am not going to spoil that. I will allow that to be, that will be her announcement when the times come, but congratulations. I would like to say that she was the only person because the industry is doing so well. It's not. There's a lot of free agents on the market, and a lot of people went to the show with that same exact purpose. And I think it's fertile hunting grounds for people that are looking for a job, because I think that at that trade show, people realize, man, we can use some more marketing people. Man, we can use some more people handling this or dealing with procurement bids and tenders and stuff like that. So absolutely, the show brings all that out, and it's very interesting. The show has morphed for me a lot in that sense. The technology has become very much secondary.
Yeah.
I need to see the people. I thrive off the relationships. The fact that, a lot of people knew where we were staying, and I knew where a lot of people were staying, and staying in a centralized hotel made life a lot easier. If I stalked you, if you were one of the audience members, and I stalked you at a Starbucks in the Hyatt, I apologize, but that's my trick.
The Hyatt's sort of become the resorts world of Vegas, right? It feels like in the old days of ISE, when it was at the Rye, we used to have the Players Bar and the Euro Bar. They were the two bars where sort of everybody, if you didn't have plans, you could end up there and you would find AV people. And it feels like Resorts World does it for Vegas with InfoComm, and the Hyatt definitely did it this year. Both morning and the sneaky lunch people. I spotted some of them on the Friday because I did swing out for lunch on Friday. And then the evenings in the rocks.
It was a nice change of pace. I mean, the fact that I did not necessarily have to have coffee with people at a trade show. I could actually have lunch at a hotel. I mean, we've been doing this at Resorts World for the last few years. Folks, if you want to have, a decent lunch that is not involved, some sort of paper plate or stuff like that.
Or a 25-minute queue.
Or a 25-minute queue. I will get you back to Resorts World on a Tesla, and we can have lunch in a nice place and take care of business that way. Honestly, it was bound to happen. I mean, even with all the expansion and trade show changes both convention centers trying to update, they can't keep up with some of the amenities that are at places. So absolutely. It is a very long show for me, where I was averaging between, and here we go back to the step count, 28 to 30,000 steps a day. That's pretty much the norm for me now. I spent a lot of time in the booth, saw a lot of people, did a lot of podcasts, went to Avixa TV. We were featured at the Avixa TV studios. We had a couple spots on Avixa TV. Rich D'Angelo did a walkthrough of our sponsorship and the stuff that we've done there. I was on with Jeff as well, and talking about, basically the evolution of broadcast TV, not just being a TV thing anymore. Now it's coming into corporate, into enterprise, and the evolution of the camera, and basically how, one of the small, and I'll just summarize it real quick, turning your camera on at the pandemic has become a very valuable tool. And for people to recognize the fact that it gave people the courage to turn on a camera, for one, and then started adding the camera as better than good enough. Right. That's where this progression, this evolution that we're witnessing happen on the enterprise side. And we finally, after years of talking video first, are starting to finally see that happening from an enterprise level, where the CEO and HR are pushing more video, because that generation of worker that is coming into space now is, of a TikTok generation. They are used to a 30-second video as opposed to a good morning email.
And this is how you represent your business, right? So I think it's before COVID and long time ago, there was a lot about, how you dressed to go to a business meeting, how for field salespeople, the sort of vehicle that you arrived in and so on, because you're representing your business. The tools that you arrive with have been given by your business, and that's a sign of how seriously they're taking things. And that's now what you're, desktop setup in some cases, streaming or content creation setup in others is presenting that you believe in what you do and what you're creating and what you're putting out there enough that you've invested in technology to make it the best it possibly can be, which is a good time to sort of mention. I don't know if they've been there before. Maybe you do, Chris, but Elgato / Corsair at InfoComm this year. Was this their first time exhibiting? No. Okay.
No. The first time that team has been. Oh, they're amazing. I love what they're doing over there.
And that's a really good sign of that level of opportunity for a brand that's been predominantly in the consumer space, that sort of home streamer space, moving and shifting their focus and attention not only onto professional grade products like the Stream Deck Studio, which is super cool if you have a chance to go and have a look, but also the levels of Stream Deck that you can now have as well, with faders and similar and knobs, just to give you that more professional feel. But they're focusing their attention on Pro AV because of the level of broadcast opportunity that we have through our integration customers, which is a solid sign. If there wasn't a clearer sign of convergence, I'd say that Elgato are turning their attention to professional AV integrators versus your gaming YouTubers at home. Yeah, that's a clear sign.
We also set a new bar, and I'm gonna give a congratulations to Jeff Barnes and the team. What started as Basecamp many years ago, and just an idea for podcasters who just needed a place to kind of just record, because nobody was doing that back in the day. To think about the fact that we set up a podcast studio the same year we live streamed from an RV ride, right? And yeah, we brought puppies that year too, and how much of an influence that has had on the trade shows. Is good to see how we were the genesis of it. But
trendsetters.
Yeah, I guess we were. So now you're looking at our studio, and our studio it has evolved so much.
Yeah.
One of my favorite products that I saw was actually used in our studio, which was the ICANN, PoE lighting. To think that a network switch can do studio lighting was unheard of a couple of years ago, and to watch it take place in our studio, and to think that this is amazing. Like it stepped up our podcast game, which is not really a podcast. I would love to call it a podcast studio, but it's really, a content creation studio at this point. It's not just for podcasting. And to see the setup, we had a lot of people coming in buzzing about that, because the equipment, what equipment were you using? What lighting were you using?
And we had the production desk on the other side, so people were able to walk behind, right, and
watch the sausage.
Yeah, watch what was happening.
Yeah, so that drew a lot, and that was a part of my responsibility. Was I had a lot of people booked in there, and I was put into the studio a couple times as a host, but that drew a lot of folks. And that was the only technology we really had on site. But to have that represent our brands, which was great to see, it was a great experience for folks that used AVonAir. I'm honored that AV Nation decided to record AV Week at our studios and bypass bringing their own gear, which was was a shock, but I appreciate it. Honored that if you're watching AV Week this week, and take a look, you'll see AVonAir Studios and everything that's there, and you can attest for the quality of the recording that was made there. So thank you, Tim Albright and the team over at AV Nation for trusting us with their livelihood, essentially. So if it's good for Tim Albright and a media organization, I'm sure it's great for a lot of other companies that are out there doing that as well. A lot of buzz around that. Yes, we drew people with AV, with the AVonAir. It's funny you talk about how people dress. I think I had more people stop by the booth to check out my sneakers than it was to check out the gear. So
the world has really changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, something snapped, something changed, and I appreciate the folks that did that. On a personal level, that was kind of funny because I wasn't able to attend a sneakerhead meetup that was there, but keep it coming. If you want to come see me for my sneakers, I would gladly take selfie pictures of all that and all those things. But Jenny, it was a very personal show for me on the people and the networking side. I know you spent a lot of time behind closed doors. I did have a lot of those meetings as well. I just can't talk about the ones I was in. Tell me about the ones that you were involved in, and what can we talk about? What kind of scoop did you bring back?
So the usual here, like obviously off the back of a show like InfoComm, and throughout the year, we bombard you guys with Midwich marketing on behalf of our vendor partners. So I try and shout out products that we don't sell when we do this inaugural "What Did I See?" And a lot of them, but there's a few Midwich vendor partners that slip in there as well. So I referenced it on the interview with Sam. The Open AV excitement, that's great. Like, we needed someone to take the initiative to start something like that. It's really good. There was so much buzz about it, and it's nothing against the SDVOEs or the HD-based alliances of old and IPMX and so on. This was the first standards-based announcement and initiative that felt like everybody was in agreement. Yes, this is perfect. This is what we need. So big shout out to those guys. Bit of a random one, but there was a company called Mount It, and they had an adjustable workstation. Now they were promoting it as like for medical. So it was wall mounted, but you folded everything back. So there was like a tray that came out for your keyboard or your laptop, I guess. Then a Visa mount for your monitor and various other mounting devices. And then everything, once you'd removed your kit, could fold back into the wall. So I completely get it from a medical or, you know, where you need to have a sort of mobile desk set up and you're carrying around devices. But actually the standing desk movement is so significant that I thought this was quite relevant in the workplace as well. And that, you know, we talk about those collaborative areas and the importance of having your different spaces and theme spaces across your business, like a chill out zone or the collaborative buzzy zone, the ideation zone, and so on. And you paint them different colors and you pump different sound scaping noises and so on. And this just felt to me like an obvious fit in that space, because it could be completely against the wall and flat against the wall when it wasn't in use. So check that out. Again, yeah, not something we sell. I saw a CMS partner called Spectrio, who I was able to get a demo this time. They felt quite exciting with lots of ideas on how to monetize digital signage through like clever ad scheduling, but also giving that feedback back in terms of success of those ads, be that through customer engagement or actually linking it to sales within a set period of it being shown. Stage Precision were there, showing their like 3D virtualization capability. That's usually a sort of dark art language for virtual product or like film production techs. And they've created like an interface that looks just like a Pro AV control system. So again, it's that broadcast AV convergence, and they're looking at like how do we create, or how do we translate what we do into your language? And so that was really interesting to look at. Eye contact camera. Chris, you saw this as well, right? And I think Kerry's got a picture of it, which I stole from their website. So
Stacey Nemo, who runs that, really interesting product.
Yeah.
We saw it come out at CES, and now here it is at InfoComm. That's wild how something goes to CES and now it's found its way to the Pro show. So please go on.
And it's optional, right? So that's what I quite liked. And I've seen prototypes before of something similar where your only option was to have the camera at the sort of central point. And I always point at my screen and forget that you guys can't see that. But this sits on the top of your display bezel. There's you can put like a front-facing light on it and so on if you're using it for content that you want to make look particularly good. And then you have the option to retract the camera. So I sort of thought about this and thought, well, there's certain conversations, particularly like sensitive or HR related conversations, where maybe that eye contact experience is really quite key. So the ability to, even if it's only one end,
courtroom depositions, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ability to bring that down to that level where you are talking at the camera. Also, I liked the idea that it gives you something to focus on that isn't the other person and their facial expression. Yes. So if you're an overthinker, it's a really cool way to sort of just take your mind off of that. You focus on talking to the camera. It's sort of the difference between, you know, having a conversation and performing. And lots of people find performing much easier because they're just doing an act, they're playing a role. But yeah, those sensitive or emotive conversations, and then like you say, if you're an overthinker and you need something to focus on so you're not staring at the other person and misreading what they're doing, I just thought it was a really interesting product. And I liked the addition of the light on top as well, because, you know, we're on a very selfie, best possible light stage of life. There was I'm a big fan of their Humley hardware. Again, we don't sell it anywhere, but I've always just thought it looks particularly nice.
I walked over with you. What a very pretty wall schedule.
Pretty, yeah. And the booth was pretty, but they had a kiosk, and it's like it looks like the McDonald's ordering kiosk, to be honest. But it's sort of freestanding, and you use it as a visitor sign in. It can print your badge if you want to, and it sends, or their software, I guess, kicks out like a alert to whoever it is that you're visiting. Nice. I haven't really seen anything purpose built for that. I've seen people create them, but that's the first time I've seen a sort of all-in-one product that wasn't sitting on the desk, or like a reception desk when you sign in. On that same flow, there was a company, and I don't know how to say it, but spelled VISIX, Visix. They had various different e-paper options, much like Get Joan, the sort of room booking e-paper signs, but they had a little one with a QR code for signing in and so on. I just thought, oh, great, in the name of sustainability. They were 2.4 by 1.2 inches, so dinky little things to sit on your desk. You scan the code, and then it turns it to say booked or occupied, however you want it to work, which was great. And then did you go to the Sony booth?
Just in passing, didn't go in.
So they had the things that you put on people, and then you film them, and it creates
the motion capture.
Yeah. Okay. Loads of fun. So that was interesting, particularly in the sort of broadcast convergent world. I think it's called MoCopy. Something like that, but that was on the Sony booth, which was really cool to watch how that all worked. I've got in here the Elgato Stream Deck Studio, but also they had the Stream Deck with the fading knobs was attached to their. It's like a teleprompter with the mirror, so you look straight into it and you get an eye contact camera feel, and you could that was connected to the Stream Deck, and you could speed up the text or slow it down and so on, however you wanted it to be. Just really nice.
It attaches to their foot pedal as well, so it's pretty wild that you can do that, without, the hands moving.
And actually, in my conversations with our contact, she says she uses her foot pedal to end her Zoom or her Teams calls, and I was like, I want that. Like, what a great way to end a call. You just stamp on the floor, and that's it.
Out.
Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah, it's got to be quite good, I think, for sort of like your mental health and work separation, that you have a final moment to exit a call.
I also picked up some stuff, and I'll wait until you're finished to throw in some things that I saw, because I saw a couple battles emerging that I think are very interesting.
Well, I think I have two more on the list. One was a company called Nucleon, who make UC headsets. Now, this was a bit back to basics, but I thought that the concept was really interesting and possibly something we see from larger organizations in the future. Their headsets had noise cancellation, both on the earphones, for your own ambient noise levels, but also embedded on the microphone, so that the best quality audio reached your other ender. And then there was they were wired, these headsets, and there was a sort of remote control along the wire that also gave you a green or red indicator of how good your audio was. I liked that, so that you could understand if somebody was saying at the other end of the call, I don't hear you very well, if you've got a problem. And then also in that little control was a little 3.5mm jack input for a buddy headset. So these are designed to be used in call centers, particularly when people are in training, and your trainer can walk up to your desk and just plug in and listen along as you're going. Just a really nice concept. I didn't get to see anything from them that was sort of Bluetooth or wireless and understand how the functionality reduces when you do that, but I can see the concept logically moving forward. And then one I suppose that's maybe more relevant for you guys, but certainly in some UK applications as well. Axis Comms had these networked speakers, and they were small, like the size of a coaster for a coffee mug, and they could be used for emergency alerts. And around them was like an LED ring light, and that would strobe different colors depending on the type of emergency. And I thought that's great to make Is it fire? Is it active shooting? Is it, whatever the threat level, that you would be trained as somebody who used that building to understand what light means what and know which evacuation or safety procedure that you should follow. And I know we've seen things, the signage shifts and the messaging, but how cool if you could have lots of these little speakers dotted around as well, that whilst they're delivering that message you have, and also accessible for people who don't hear. That's ideal, that you would have color-coded lighting so that before they're able to reach a point where they understand what the emergency is, they know the procedure they're supposed to follow based on the flashing strobe light that's coming out. So yeah, they were my list. Oh, and Barco. I liked the new on the ClickShare, you can, for their MTR version, you click the big button to go, I might be getting this the wrong way around. Click the big button to go full screen when you're just doing a presentation. But if you want to share your screen within the Teams call, you click the little button and it makes you share in the Teams call. I thought that was neat.
Nice. Very nice. All right.
You go.
My turn. All right. Let's talk about one thing that I thought was really wild, really interesting, and something I did not see coming, because I worked on a project like this a couple years back when I was with Barco. Epson showed the Ulta 1.6 LED with a skin. A skin that goes over the LED, which allows whatever you have on that LED to ghost through or permeate through. To me, from a experiential side, my experiential side of AV geeks out at things like this, because when it's not in use, it looks like a wood wall, marble, whatever you want, and then it just comes through. That extra. The LED comes through. You can have whatever you want, whether it's showing weather, sports. I mean, you saw motion graphics. It was smooth. I had a project that was brought to me many years ago when I was with Barco to take our LED, jack up the brightness as hot as possible, and go through a micro-perfed veneer wood. And no matter what we did, as bright as we took it, it still did not come as smooth as obviously this, because it was obviously not passable in certain spots. So yes, that to me was a very cool product. Very interesting product. Row had a similar one where it had light emitting through, but not as clear as what I saw with the Epson stuff. That was out on display in a 55-inch model, and they had a couple tiles that you can pick up and play with, and a chip on board and all that sort of stuff. So it was really cool. The other thing that I saw, which I liked, which debuted at ISE, but I finally got to see it here, was the Noda 143. The Noda is the inline power amp that PowerSoft puts out. Really cool, space saving. If anything else, if you need to just power the speakers, tiny. I mean, we're talking like wall charger for your USB, C phone size.
A little amp.
Amp in your pocket, man. That's what you need. If that's what makes you feel good, you can walk around with an amplifier in your pocket, pull it out, and go, whoosh, look at me. I could power your speakers right now.
Yeah.
And it's got the juice. Yes. For the folks, for all the haters who are going to come at me, it does run hot, obviously, but it does what it needs to do. Tiny, man. What do you want? It's going to be painless. It's going to be easy to use. The Noda thing. Now, since we're on the audio topic, let's talk about things that I've been noticing trend-wise, not specific to any one product. On the headsets, you brought up the headsets. I cannot believe how many, of the
bone conducting
is now moving into the power into our
changed it. They have, it goes over the head now, whereas the first year that they appeared at one of our shows, shocks went round the back, like the running ones.
Yes.
But yes, I spotted this year they were over the head. Yeah. Yeah,
the over the head, all those bone conducting style, and there's other companies that are doing it well. I mean, Shocks has been doing it for a while, and they've done it really well. Their UC one with the boom mic is probably one of the clearest wireless mics I've ever used.
Yeah.
On my cell phone, and my phone has a hard time with these Bluetooth headsets. Sorry, I've tried a lot of them, and it's just been very difficult. But yes, these bone conducting, that particular style, the not on the ear, not in the ear, not big ear. I'm talking about off the ear. You hear what's going on. I like kind of wearing them because it kind of gives me a soundtrack to life. I feel like I'm in the movie.
Situational awareness.
Situational awareness.
That's what they had written on their booth. Yeah.
That in the audio side has been moving. Again, continuing with the audio. There is finally there is a battle going on for audio in the conference rooms. I love it. Where it was traditional, here's your mics, here's your puck mics, here's all this. You got now Shure entering the UC space with their setup. You have companies like Aurora coming in with their product, which is now a control company who has microphones in their in their little tabs. You have this whole new
gooseneck without the gooseneck.
Correct. You now have all these companies kind of going in and saying, we don't want a microphone scene. Now, many years ago on AV and the AM, I asked the question whether the desktop microphone was done for, if that was, or better yet, ceiling mics were done for, because no mics seems to be the thing. And little by little, a lot of people were like, no way, you can't replace the quality. A ceiling mic is it.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Technology is pushing this, whatever you want to call the technology of sending multiple microphones in a room in whatever trademarked name you want to call it. It is becoming more prevalent, and everybody is in that market, which to me, and I've said this a year ago, and I said it on the beginning of our ISC thing, audio to me is become more important in this battle, because
especially with Copilot.
Yeah.
So and others, you know, other AI transcriptions are available, but the ability, if you can afford it, to have an individual microphone positioned at each seat.
Yeah.
Also, so that gives you the opportunity to be clear into your AI agent about who is speaking. Whereas at the moment, when you're all in the room, so if you take a Copilot transcript, we had a call just ahead of InfoComm, actually, from the hotel room, and it thought that Lee and I were the same person, and then because our colleagues Ali and Steve were in the same room together, they were the same person, but our other colleague Ross, he was individual, and it messes up the whole thing because it doesn't know who's talking, despite the fact that last time I checked I sound really different to Lee, but they can't tell. But if you can section off individual mics, that makes that easier. And there are some programs that can, if you tell it which microphone is speaking and attach the name to that person, it's then able to add that into the transcript. So it's quite a smart move, actually, to look at that.
You took the words out of my mouth. And I think a lot of this, the microphone conversation is not just putting one in the center and letting it pick up. It's because AI is now pushing individual mics or some sort of zoning in the microphones where it can detect who the head of the table is versus the rear end of the table and stuff like that. Which now, again, when I said it 6 months ago, a year ago, that audio is a very important trend in our world, not realizing how important that goes back to the AI conversation. After spending a couple days out in Microsoft prior to InfoComm, I'm seeing this more and more. Copilot and AI transcription and all the beautiful things that people want. And I will talk about AI afterwards, but is reliant on good audio more so than good cameras. I'll be honest with you. I love the cameras, and the cameras have gotten better, but I think the cameras right now have all.
But if you need to prioritize, it has to be the A.
It has to be the A, has to have the capital letter in the AI conversation. As it starts moving, the V will become more important, but absolutely a trend, and it was confirmed. Now, going back to the AI conversation, what I liked about NetSpeak, and the reason why I think I am sold more on NetSpeak than anything else, is that everybody comes with a marketing AI, and the marketing AI to me is fluff. It's cake decorating. It's not the base. I think NetSpeak comes with practical applications. There's been a few companies out there that have the practical applications for AI. Others are whiz bang, I think. I really appreciate the companies, for example, like a CTI, who hire somebody who does nothing but AI. We're starting to see our integrators focus and bring in people like a Dave Hatz, who will focus on AI, not just for what it can do internally for the integrator, but take all this wondrous technology. And somebody like Dave, and I'm a big fan of Dave, so I'm going to lift him up here. Dave is like master certified 3-time, 4-time diamond programmer on level Crestron. Like, he teaches Crestron stuff, right? Which is really great. And you take that kind of knowledge as somebody who's been in the control world for many years, and now his focus has been on the AI side. He knows what can be and can't be controlled, and where our pain points are. Now, to use AI in practical manners is where I think we've been hung up on AI, because everybody wants something that's flashy. There's people going to look at NetSpeak and go, well, it's a monitoring tool. Call it what you will. It's thinking, and it's adjusting. And in the same folks that will tell you Copilot's awesome, Copilot is going to be your control system in a couple years, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it turns things on, it shuts things off. If you do not, just because it doesn't have an LCD panel and a button attached to it, you don't want to call it something that it is, but it is the core, the brain of those spaces. So a lot of things that came out of InfoComm this year for me, technology-wise, a lot of cool little things. Like I too, we went over to see Humley. I thought their wall panels were really cool. I still, for folks that have not listened to that Bose speaker, the Edge Max, impressive how, and yeah, the audio purists are going to be all over me, but it's still not high. It's not this, it's not that. Man, I can't tell you, we can't have Babinga Wood speakers on every corner and in high-end audiophiles. Dude, it does what it needs to do really, really well, efficiently. It's funny, on one corner of the mouth, AV loves to talk about being efficient and being streamlined, but then when the product comes that actually is streamlined, like, well, look, it's not stereo. I'm like, I don't care. It does the job and it does it really well. Like, take the win, man. Take the W.
We still have lots of big fans of vinyl, right? But last time I checked, most people are playing their music from their phone.
There's room for everything. And okay, we talked about the tech, we talked about the network. I have to plug and I have to give a shout out to somebody. And I hate the fact that I just used the word shout out because that's not something I would do. We're not on a radio. But I want to give thanks to both Crystal and to Ying and the team here at Midwich US, who put together and threw a hell of a party on Wednesday night. For all the people that came and walked in, man, all 1,300 plus of you that walked through that door, amazing. It was a lot. Maybe we can edit. Can you bleep out that number? Because we may have packed it in a little too much. It was a wonderful time. It's good to see people. That is what the core is. That's an appreciation party. Let's cut it what it is. That's not a sales party. That's nothing else. That's an appreciation for the people that have given us their time, their effort, and their trust specifically for the last year. We're dealing in weird times right now. I don't want to get it to be political, but honestly, if you were there, if you do business with us, you trust us here at in Midwich and Midwich US to deliver a product, and we appreciate that, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And if it hasn't been said publicly, I'll be the first to tell you. If you have heard it, I'm going to repeat it again. Thank you so much for putting your trust in us. And if that little party made you escape a crazy trade show and 28,000 steps and give you some humanity for a little bit of the night. I know some people overindulged. I'm not going to say anybody's name in particular or people in particular, but there was some people that got carried out. You had a wonderful time on us. Thank you so much. And thank you all for the sponsors that helped us put this together. So that's it. That's my 2-minute thank you for the party. But Ying and Crystal, thank you so much. It was a wonderful time. And if you all need to know, I can't give it away, but I am, you know what? I'm going to give you a spoiler. Vegas 26, you ain't seen nothing yet. So be ready, Jen.
Do we even have dates for InfoComm Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay.
June.
Okay.
2026.
Just June.
We'll be out next week, folks. Get it on your calendar. You won't want to miss what we're going to do. Well, thank you, Ifat, who it was the party to end all parties. Some people ended their night, and I don't think they were seen again at InfoComm after that party.
Well, a lot of people also got sort of stuck there because there was so much rain, like an unbelievable amount of rain that night. Yeah.
Without a doubt, I don't think I've ever been at a show I've never seen that much rain at an InfoComm, and it was consistent every afternoon, every night. You got sideways rain.
And beautiful lightning and amazing storms. Yeah.
Yes. And still hot. It did nothing to cool it down. Absolutely not a damn thing.
And locals were like, oh, this will cut through it now and it will start to cool down. And that wasn't true.
No, there was a lot of fibs being told about the rain and what it does to the humidity. Absolutely not. Well, that was the party scene. A lot of wonderful parties. I dressed up as Run DMC one night, Reverend Run. And it was not a good. I was all in black in hot, humid Orlando. Thank God my hotel was close enough that I had to run, shower, change, come back, and then get tossed into a dealer meeting in flip-flops. But hey, whatever. You do what you got to do. Walk in, take a selfie, and walk out as quickly as possible before you say or do anything embarrassing. So thank you. Jenny, What else you got?
Well, you mentioned about the sort of the absinthe with the skin. You threw out the reference to Roe and the what is it called? They had it printed on the top, but the like it's like stone or it's wood, and then it has the LED on the backlight. And I sent Kerry a picture of the Christie booth, which I think deserves a little shout out. So this was I've got two side by side here just to show you. They were sort of mapping onto this like wooden carving.
Yes.
I don't really know how else to describe it. And there's another one under the Christie logo there as well. So I've done two pictures to show you, like the projected light was moving around. I just thought it was a really clever, detailed architecture. And it's just more food for thought when people, you know, sometimes not all of the onus is on the AV. The AV brings stuff to life, but you can be as intricate as you want now with your surfaces or your shapes because of what we're capable of doing with projection mapping and so on. It was just really nice.
The vibe there was very much Moment Factory, and my buddy Ross Ashton
exactly.
out in the UK who does this in churches, and that's where you walk into cathedrals where they're lighting up, you know, some of the gold leaf stuff and bringing that to life, more gold, right? This is what you see in the basilicas and all that sort of stuff. Really impressive, the fact that they were able to bring that, and I did see that with you because we both stopped there for a sec to take a look at that. You know, the intricacies of the carving and the fact that, you know, they were pretty spot on to do that, you know, with a 2-day setup. It's pretty
perfectly
sweet.
In line and just, lovely.
Very, very cool.
Really, really nicely done.
Yes.
I think for me, my headline was innovation in hardware is steadying. And it's going to be, from now on, it's going to be quite bite-sized. And that's fine because we're a mature market and that's what we've reached. Innovation now, the fast pace, that it's all in software and proactive monitoring and management, managed services, software and managed services. That's where your innovation is coming from, be it the replacement of humans to a certain extent through solutions like Lena from NetSpeek. And then on the software side, just these leaps forward in terms of functionality from show to show, which is just really exciting. And if you're not pivoting towards software and services, you know, you need to.
But there is other shows, and no disrespect to InfoComm or VIXA, but you go to an LDI, you go to NAB, you see AV there. We haven't chatted since I went to NAB, but the presence of AV people, AV companies, you know, those shows is massive, and it become equally as important for us as a company to be attending, for a lot of end users as well. You know, and now to see the crossover where our friends from Ross, who are, you know, at InfoComm with a big space, you know, a bigger space than normal. They were right next to the Midwich TV. So they had a prime location. ICANN was in that area as well, where you had, you know, I wish those folks were, let me just put it this way. Take that Midwich TV, move it closer so it's not in Tampa. Bring those folks closer, because that is a trend. Yet I have to walk to the ends of the earth to go see it. You know, they will, I think their presence will continue to get bigger as this evolution happens. And they have some interesting things. The things that I kind of am okay with kind of dying down, but everybody's kind of okay with it. I remember when they forced on drones and nobody knew what to do with drones and drone arenas and battle drones. I don't know what they were trying to do back then, but now it's so weird. Now that drones have a clear-cut purpose. Whether it is in search and rescue, like the robot dog,
or as a filming device,
device.
And real estate now is almost all of those like promo videos for houses. They start with the drone, and then dependent on the size of the house, sometimes they fly through and do the full coverage.
When my insurance company sends out a drone before they will give me new homeowners insurance to come see my roof and my property, it tells you that it is now mainstay. So the fact,
and we're nowhere there yet, because we have delivery drones still to come. We have, you know, there's so many applications for them. It's kind of cool actually that they landed in AV so early on in their journey of taking over.
The lack of robotic telepresence robots, that kind of came, that kind of went. But
I wondered why I felt so relaxed at the end of the show. No robots chased me this year at all.
No lie. But You know, these are things that if you haven't been to InfoComm, or you said I've seen it all now, well, at least those things have now morphed.
Yes.
To see, you know, companies like DJI and stuff like that there.
It's the
So
move from gimmicky, isn't it, to real world use cases that
practical applications. This is where AI in our world is right now.
Yeah.
It's moving from the, hey, look, it creates a cartoon character of Chris Netto and it can make it dance, to, cool, how do I use it in my job?
Yeah.
Right. And now we're starting to see, not only can I use it internally to fix some tasks, but I can now use it outside of the gimmick and start using it on a customer end. And I think that everything kind of goes through that phase. And I think that's where trust and that trust build is where we're heading to. So folks, if you weren't at InfoComm this year and you were kind of weary about, like, you know, AI is going to be yes, AI was talked about everywhere, but we're still at that entry level phase. And to see companies, I think, like NetSpeak talk about that. And there are some hardcore, you know, AV people, my friends over on the Reddit side of the world, and the commercial AV side, which that can go all kind of off the hook. I got to meet and hang out with a few of those folks. You know, they've been working on stuff that they've been having to homebrew. Those are the guys that went to the manufacturers and said, I want this, and it wasn't existing. So they had to create it using Python. That tinkerer market, that mindset still exists in AV, folks. They're in hiding. They're in little groups and cohorts off to the side. But that's where you're getting the next wave of innovation, is because if it doesn't exist, somebody's trying to create it themselves on a Python programming or something, and they're making it happen. It reassured me that we still have a place as wizards and magicians. It allows us, you know, that creativity, because it got boring. It really did.
I'm an AV wizard.
You absolutely, you got that. You wait. Next time I'm going to put the sorting hat on you and see which one you are. Right?
I'm Ravenclaw.
Of course you are.
I don't need a sorting hat.
You wear that. You wear that badge. Oh my God. All right. Wow.
So we've hit our hour.
Yes, we did.
Oh my God, it is relevant as well, right? To the Harry Potter reference. We're near Universal. Well, it all ties in. We've hit our hour. So I suppose what's left to say is, if you want to reach out to NetSpeak, find Sam, or I love that Lena has her own LinkedIn. Please go and follow and befriend Lena. Let's get Lena to thousands of followers. Yes, because she is a celebrated woman in AV. And then if you have anything else to tell us about what you saw at the show, do reach out, because we're still sort of compiling our list and there's always stuff that we missed. But hopefully you found our picks quite useful. I like to think everyone enjoys the fact that we try not to talk about Midwich partners too much on this as well, because that, you know, you get that from our internal marketing. What we're trying to do is fill in those gaps of stuff that we found interesting that we're not used to seeing, and hopefully that broadens your horizons as well. We have one final request for people. So our colleagues in the UK have rebranded our sound technology business that services the live event space with lighting, audio, professional audio, and LED and similar, and they are called Live. But naturally, what has happened is that already in the space of a month, everybody refers to them as Midwich Live, which now that they've created a brand, they've done lots of marketing. So we've lost our name. Our name has been stolen.
We lost the name of the divorce and the dogs.
Yes. No. One of them's still. Okay, one of them's still here. But we are in the market for a new name, and I think we could easily transition to the AVonAir brand, but as many of you know, the AVonAir brand is quite synonymous with the shows, and it's a space that gets used by many people and is typically not live, whereas we are always live on this show. So we're open to ideas. We're considering Midwich on Air as one, especially now that we're both under the same brand name. But we'd love some of your feedback on what we could be called. And when we come back and join you for our next topic, we'll have turned that into our new branding. So Chris, are you going to sign us out for the last Midwich Live under this name?
Yes, I am going to shed a tear as we pour some out for our homies.
Been an era.
As an end of an era. Midwich Live no more. We will take on a new persona next time. Fresh branding, fresh new everything. Because hey, you know what? Rebranding seems to be a thing. Look at us. Look at AVI Systems now as Forte.
Turns out we're quite good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're getting pretty good. So we will crowdsource for our AVonAir Live. If that's your vote, if not, then thank you so much. But yeah, it will even take cheesy morning show names like Live with Jenny and Chris. You never know. You never know. We're kind of wild, kind of crazy. We'll do whatever you want. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. And if you want to get a hold of Jenny, where can we find you on the interwebs? LinkedIn, I'm thinking, is your hardcore source right now.
LinkedIn is the hardcore. Jenny Hicks and a face that looks somewhat like this. It does now as well because I've had to update my picture, so that's frustrating. Yeah. And I'm also on X. You can find me at Midwich Jenny, or you can reach me jenny.hicks@midwich.com. How about you, Chris?
Awesome. You can find me still on X, Chris_Netto. LinkedIn is your best shot at it. And for folks that watched my most recent update, there is now an Angelie Netto in the mix. She's 2 years away from graduating. I am her agent. If you would like to talk to her, come through me. That is my daughter, and I took her to her first kind of AV content creator show yesterday in New York City. And it generated a lot of hits on my profile, and a lot of hey, can we talk to her about internship, which is wonderful. I'm grateful. She's not ready yet for that. She's got to finish this last bit of schoolwork, and then she's all for it. But great experience. You can find me again, Christopher Netto, CTS. I still have those 3 letters at the end of my name for now. Still kind of trying to do the RUs. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of Midwich Live for the last few years as we close the door on this and open up a new chapter in the Midwich Live podcast world. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This has been, for the last time, Midwich Live.